Welcome guys, today we're going to talk about specking trucks. What to look out for as far as understanding and looking out for specifications on your truck that you're trying to buy. Like transmissions, wheels, rear end ratio, and a couple other things that I want to talk to you about. So I'm just pulling in one of the trucks to the shop, and we're gonna hop over to the office and dig in a little deeper on and we're gonna dig in deeper about specs and about what to look into when you're buying a used truck. So let's talk about specking a truck and what to look for when you're buying a used one. That will give you an understanding of what the truck was actually built for. Whoever spec'd it new, or when you're specking a new truck, what is the truck that going to do? Is the type of work that I'm looking to do, is this the perfect fit? And this is basic information. There's a lot to cover, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible to give you a simple and basic understanding of how to look at those things and understand it and help you make a decision. We'll talk about aero versus classic trucks, aerodynamic trucks versus classic. Short, long wheelbase falls under that category. Number 2, transmissions. Number 3, rear end ratios. Number 4, wheels and tires. All those things come together to create a truck that is fuel efficient, because ultimately the goal here is to spec the right truck to have it as efficient as possible. The less fuel you use, the more money you keep in your pocket. So very important thing. So let's start. Number 1, aerodynamic versus classic truck. Obviously aerodynamic trucks are designed for better airflow, to have better fuel economy. Now you can dig in a little deeper and say, well, there's plenty of trucks, aerodynamic trucks, that have very bad fuel efficiency. I don't want to go there, because there's many variables that do that. But what we want to focus on is the difference between aerodynamic and classic, right? Classic truck, you have a lot more drag and resistance going down the highway, and that will in general is worse for fuel economy. So if you're looking at trucks, is it a classic, is it an aerodynamic truck, understand what you're going to do with it, and all those little things that we're going to talk about will fall into place. And you could have a classic truck and do highway running and long distance hauling, but you just have to understand what comes with it, and what are other things that you have to look at to make that truck a lot more efficient. Because certainly there's a lot of classic trucks that are very efficient, and certainly there is a lot of aerodynamic trucks which are not. So but all those things that we're going to look at right now is how to make that truck keep you as much as possible as far as money, because the less you spend on fuel, the more stays in your pocket. So aerodynamic classic, your decision. Focus on, is this the right truck? The look, do I like how it looks? Is this something that going to be good for local driving or highway driving? Aerodynamic trucks, better for fuel economy. Classic, a little bit more resistance. Short, long wheelbase, similar, falls under the same category. Longer frames will be a lot more comfortable. You're going to have a lot less maneuverability. You could look at 265s versus 215 inches. A shorter wheelbase will give you better maneuverability, a little bumpier ride, but ultimately you're getting that trailer closer to the truck, and that also improves aerodynamics, therefore fuel efficiency. Number 2, transmissions. What I would like you to remember is you have direct drive, single overdrive, and double overdrive. And what that means is the final gear ratio. So if you have a double direct drive transmission paired up with a tall gearing, that means that truck was spec'd for highway running. That means getting that truck to the sweet spot of RPM will require less work, and the truck will be a lot more efficient. You can have a 10-speed direct drive transmission, and once you get to that 10th gear, the truck will be at its most optimal RPM range, depending obviously on the engine, which I'm not going to get into right now. But paired up with the right rear end ratio will create. There's a lot less gears to move around, and it will a lot less rotations to get the truck actually rolling, and therefore more efficiency. Rear end ratios, as I mentioned, you have tall, which tall is, think about tall gear, that smaller number, and short gear, high number. Short gears are for heavy duty lifting, very heavy loads, 18 speeds, things that, depending on where you live, you would want to look at specific rear end ratios. And again, if you're doing a lot more highway driving versus heavy hauling, then you have to understand that number, where that falls, and ideally you want to be as optimal as possible. Therefore, you're seeing a lot of 355s, 358s, and those are, in my opinion, pretty optimal. Is it the best? I think the direct drive transmissions are probably the most efficient ones for highway driving, but the most optimal you're going to see, and a lot of the specs you will look at will have the 355 paired up with a single overdrive 10-speed or a double overdrive 13-speed, and that's fine. It's optimal. Just understand the numbers. If you see a very high number, that means that truck was spec'd to do heavy hauling, and if you see a low number, that's good for highway driving. Number 4, wheels and tires. So there are 2 things that I want you to remember: standard profile and a low profile tire. And what that means is, when you see 11R, that will indicate that it's a standard profile tire. And standard profile tires have an aspect ratio of about 88%, which means 11 inches of width will give you an 88% of how tall is the tire. So that would be about 9.5 inches. So that tells you it's a standard profile tire. Well, how does that affect my fuel efficiency, and why do I care? Well, that's also rolling resistance, which adds to fuel efficiency, and then low profile tires will be better at, again, highway driving. Tall profile, standard profile tire will be if you do some log hauling or construction. That will definitely impact your fuel economy, along with all those other aspects of the truck. So remember, 11R standard profile, the 22.5, that's the wheel size, and then low profile will always have the millimeters shown on the sidewall and the aspect ratio. So the aspect ratio here is 80. You could still have 75/70, and the wheel size 22.5. And like I said, low profile versus standard profile impacts your some say comfort. I would look more at fuel efficiency and what is best, and rolling resistance also, which you have to look at the thread, but low profile definitely better for highway running. So understanding the difference is just so you look at the tire and you see the numbers, you know what the tire is. That will help you. All those things come together and help you create a truck, help you build a truck, or find a truck that will be fuel efficient and will be right for the type of work that you're planning to do. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Look out for more videos and drive safe.